Hi, my name is Lance Parker, the Senior Advising Coordinator at UT Health Science Center at Tyler. I would like to welcome you back to the Lunch and Learn series today. I have Dr. Willis as a guest today. Today's Lunch and Learn segment will be covering Curriculum Vitae, better known as a CV, discussing tips for graduate health students and professionals. The Lunch and Learn series provides engaging conversation, meaningful information to support professional growth of student trainees and stakeholders. By the end of the segment, you will be able to define what a CV is, identify the key CV writing tips and strategies, and to recognize why a CV aids career success. Dr. Willis, how are you doing today?
Doing good, Lance. I appreciate the opportunity to participate in another one of these lunch and learns, great professional development opportunities for our graduate students, professional trainees, and colleagues.
Awesome, awesome, Dr. Willis. So I want to jump right into it. The first question I have for you is what is a curriculum vitae? And can you explain why a CV is different from a professional resume?
So a curriculum vitae, or you say Vitae, you might have a different pronunciation than me, but a curriculum vitae, I think is, for people that are new to this process, the curriculum vitae is like a resume, but it is much more extensive because it is a record that exposes more of your professional interest as well as your background as it relates to a specific area of expertise or subject matter. And so the curriculum vitae is something that's much more longitudinal over time. I think many people, when you're talking about just a resume in general, you try to keep it to a certain length and you want to be much more concise than what you usually find with a CV. The CV can be many more pages. Sometimes you find individuals with a CV or people with a CV that can be, 15 or 20 pages long. I mean, because it's literally an extensive record of the work and expertise that a person has developed and built over time, including all of the professional credentials, certification, and engagement that they've been involved in as it relates to their specific field of interest or study.
Awesome, awesome. And you're right, I do have a hard time pronouncing with my southern drawl. I'm just going to say CV. I have a hard time saying Vita.
Yeah, no problem. In my professional development, curriculum vitae was a word that seemed kind of odd. It's just one of those terms that as you grow professionally, you learn kind of what it is, what it means, and how people pronounce it. But I think it really is, it's a lesson in itself. I mean, as a new professional, you start to look at a CV and you go, what is this? How do you actually say that word? What does it mean? And but yeah, you learn exactly what it is and what it means over time, and we all end up developing a level of comfort with saying things that don't necessarily roll off the tongue as easy.
Awesome, awesome. So I want to jump into the next question. Um, Accepting academic consulting um, highlighted the importance of creating sections within a CV. So for the graduate students listening, why are sections considered important in developing a CV?
I think in the development of your CV, organizing the document in a logical way that is most relevant to the field of study in which your area of expertise is really important, because there are some standard approaches to the development of a CV when it comes to specific fields. For example, the differences between a curriculum vitae that's developed specifically for academic purposes versus a research type of career versus a consulting or a more of an advisory role could be totally different. And so you have the control as the editor of your own CV or the person that's crafting this document of highlighting your strengths and moving them to a more prominent level within the document. And so you have to have these sections that are well defined and that are most relevant to the field that you're working in, based on recommendations that you have from professionals in that specific area of work. And then the other suggestion that I would make when it comes to the development of the CV and specifically about which sections and where to place certain parts of information, I would suggest that you have someone who is has much more experience in the field to review your CV and to give you recommendations about the organization and about what specific sections or subheadings you should have within your CV.
Thank you, Dr. Willis. My next question to you is, BMO Academic Consulting addressed the importance of the presentation of the CV, such as your font, bold letters, pictures. Dr. Willis, can you give us more insight into why a CV or the presentation of a CV is so valuable?
The presentation of the CV is vital because that's basically your first introduction to an individual making a hiring decision, a committee making some type of selection, or an organization in which you might be seeking membership. So your CV needs to be well put together because it is literally the first introduction that you have to someone, how you look on paper, and these individuals or groups that are evaluating your curriculum vitae are likely shuffling through a whole stack of these similar documents. And so you really want it to be put together in a way that represents best your experience as well as your aspirations that you might have, and also kind of shows how you are either starting to build a career or have built a career and what interest you have in the future. So something like what research interests you have, a listing of what's knowledge and skills you have. You don't want to miss the opportunity to present to some kind of selection committee the unique aspects of your own background that would make you a uniquely qualified candidate for a specific opportunity.
I must say, Dr. Willis, you are making me want to go open my CV right now and make some corrections.
Absolutely. We need to take a look at it and see where we can define it. And I think, Lance, that comment makes me think of something else I need to share. So the CV is also a living document. And I think the difference between the CV and the resume is that the resume is usually put together and it's pretty static. I mean, you might make some modifications to it, but it's pretty static because it's based on much more basic information. And I think the CV is more of a living document because as you do new presentations, as you join new organizations, or you work on a publication or some kind of project where you can be able to document your involvement, you have to continue to add that. And so you're always working on the CV. It's not a file that you just save and you send it out every time. You should revisit your CV as it relates to every opportunity that you're going for. If somebody requests a copy of your CV or you need to provide it for some specific opportunity, it's important to open the file, tweak it, update it, and you should really be updating it periodically just as a good practice. So once a month or once a quarter, you should open up your curriculum vitae file and make sure that any professional accomplishments, professional involvement, community engagement that you've been involved in, that you added to the appropriate section of your CV. Because again, the CV is a document that's longitudinal. So it shows your growth over time. And so if you have a year where you go and you don't update your CV at all, then it almost makes it presents some kind of professional gap. And in reality, there may not be a professional gap, but you just didn't do your duty of updating the CV. And so you have to make it just kind of a periodic professional task that you engage in to make sure that you're documenting your growth and progress over time.
Thank you, Dr. Willis. Now, here at the Health Science Center, we have a great relationship with LinkedIn. And so for our grad students listening, what advice would you give them as far as embedding LinkedIn with their CV?
Can you repeat that question?
Okay.
Sorry.
So how important is LinkedIn during the CV process?
How important is LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is important only in so much as LinkedIn is basically the digital version or the digital component of like a CV or a resume. So LinkedIn is relatively new. The CV is something that's been around a long time and a commonly recognized tool within the human resources or professional hiring practices. But LinkedIn has added a new component to that. And your actual CV document, the PDF of your CV, can actually be shared as a file through your LinkedIn profile. But LinkedIn is that professional social media that we have now. And, there's a lot of technical algorithms through LinkedIn that helps craft specific content and brings it to your attention, as well as specific job opportunities or volunteer opportunities. And so I think when we talk about augmenting the LinkedIn with the CV or vice versa, they're two distinct tools that you have at your exposure for career growth and advancement. And they both have to be used, but they can be used in concert with one another, because the CV has a specific role. It's a specific document that people will request of you when they're trying to make an evaluation of your preparation or readiness for a specific opportunity. But LinkedIn is also the digital version that exposes a lot of the same information. So they both play an important role and can be used together.
My final question to you, Dr. Willis, is what additional tips do you suggest graduate students explore when developing a CV?
I think graduate students need to really connect the development of a CV with mentoring. Those individuals that are providing you with some professional guidance, faculty members, other staff members that have some role in your professional development, I would consult with them to get more detailed and specific information on how you can develop a curriculum vitae or CV that is going to be best suited for the type of roles that you plan to pursue. The other challenge with a CV is that young career professionals or early career professionals, graduate students, people that are individuals that are maybe making a career change, the CV can be difficult because you may feel like you don't have enough information that warrants the development of a CV. But you can develop a CV based on the professional preparation that you've had, the engagement that you've had in areas that built on the interest that lead you to the place that you are professionally. And so I would say that the key to success with a CV is to engage with your mentors. You have to connect all these different dots of professional development and make sure that you're seeking advice and guidance from individuals who have been on hiring committees, who are in those roles where they make selection decisions, because they can provide you with that candid information that, we really can't just give it to you. You need somebody that's been down that road, that knows exactly what would make them take a second look at a person's CV. The other area that you can explore, is a functional resume. As you move towards developing a CV, you may look at a functional resume that's kind of a hybrid between a regular resume and a CV, where it has, some elements of your scholarly activity, of your advanced degree, of these graduate level courses that you've taken, and micro credentials that you may have been able to obtain through your professional preparation. It allows you to start to bring all those things together. And so I think when we're having this conversation about, professional growth, the whole idea of this Lunch and Learn series, for graduate students and professional trainees, as well as faculty members, we all have a lot that we can learn from one another. I'm consistently learning new things and always visiting with colleagues about ways to enhance my own professional profile. And that's something that we would collectively encourage our graduate students to do, to be aware of the importance of continuing professional growth and development within your degree program and beyond the degree program. We have to be dedicated to continuing to advance our own knowledge and skills around the subject matter that we have studied, as well as the work that we hope to do in the community and in the context of our own campus.
Well, I must say, what an amazing lunch and learn today. Thank you, Dr. Willis, for taking the time to give such profitable advice to students, faculty, and staff. You mentioned key elements of CV development, which translates into career opportunities. Students, faculty, and staff, you can apply the tips and strategies discussed today to your CV. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, this is Lance Parker signing off.